Okay, so good role play there, gang. So just to recap, before we move on to step 4. So remember, you prepared yourself, you attracted the lead, or you went and got it. You got prepared for the appointment. You were dressed right. You brought everything you can to get the listing. You drive over there. You pull in front of the house. You're focused, right? You walk or strut to the front door with an air of confidence. You ring the bell, smile, pay them a quick, sincere compliment. Take them to the kitchen table. Sit down. Talk about anything but real estate. Maybe something comes up in the brochure that was sent earlier, right? And then once real estate is brought up, or a little bit of maybe a question about what do you got here for us, or how much can you get for our house, or what's the plan, you say I've got just 7 steps to go over to help you get all that information. So let me get started here. And so this is a recap of what we've done so far, other than the sales psychology. And then we got the sales process, 7 steps, series of questions. You want to make sure you guys say their name, you got good voice inflections. Preview the property, you're doing the same thing, you're talking to them across the table, you're telling them what we're going to do before we do it, you're not doing it yet, right? So this is just a recap here. Marketing plan, price and net, forms, explain the forms, ask them if they have any questions, and make a mutual decision. And then we said, so let's get started with the questions. And then you had how many questions?
6.
15. 15 questions, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and we ask all the questions, especially question number
15.
And in the role play that you just did, I just told you originally to say the lead in and then tell them the sales process. Then the next role play was tell your role play partner the sales process and then ask them 6 questions out of the 15, yes?
Yes.
And they always ask for the order. And then they said, I don't want to list right now. And you said, what?
No problem.
No problem. And for the next role play, what you would say is, well, why don't you, let me see if I got the right slide card. Why don't you show me around the house now? So when we role play in a bit, you're going to say, the next role play will be, we don't want to list right now. And you will say what?
No problem.
No problem.
No problem. Why don't you show me around the house? In fact, we probably don't have to role play that specific part. We're probably going to role play the marketing plan a little bit in a minute. But why don't you show me around the house? So I want to give you some tips on previewing the property before we go into the marketing plan. Fair enough? So what step are we on?
3.
Preview the property? That's step 2. Right? So look at your sales process.
Yes.
What is step 1? Okay, what's step 2?
Preview the property.
Yeah, that's what. And that might be what page in your book?
4.
Might be page 3, might be page 4. Probably page 4. Imagine your questions that take up 2 pages. So don't worry about my page numbers on here. There's just an example that I'm trying to give you the pages of your presentation. Page 1 is the what? Sales process. Page 2 and maybe 3 are the series of
Questions.
page 4 or 5, it's got to be a visual to remind you when you look at it that, oh, it's time for you to show me around the house. What would be a good visual? To say, let's go look around the house. You can figure that on your own, or just give us some ideas. Anybody got an idea?
Magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass, binoculars, something like that. Right? But on the top of your page, it would say preview the property. Then you just have some kind of funny visual of some sort. Okay, just to remind you. So now let's go look at the property. Let's go walk around. Let's show me around. I got my clipboard. I'm going to take some notes. So usually walking around looking like this. You guys with me? See how I look?
Yes.
Everybody see it?
Yes.
Some people aren't looking, so I just want to make sure.
Yes.
This is what I look like walking around the house with them. I got something to write on. Right? You want to make sure you get the seller to what? Participate. So if they say, yeah, go and take a look around, we'll just wait right here. You say, oh, no, come with me. Because you said earlier you want them to show you around the house and point out the what? Features. Yeah. And any repairs that might be needed. Like you also want them to tell you about not only hidden upgrades, but there's something else that we got to find out from them. It's in the contract actually, and we haven't done the contract yet. But when you're previewing the property, you're going to want to know this thing. It's something that's extremely important. It's so important it's in the contract. You guys, anybody have an idea what I'm talking about?
The defect.
They're called material
Latent defects.
latent
Defects.
defects. And what does that mean? Issues that we can't see, that they are aware of. Yeah, you don't have to tell them to try and figure out stuff that might. This is something they're aware of. yeah, we do have a foundation issue. What is it? They have to tell us, they have to disclose it. In the contract, it says they have to. Everybody knows that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay? So, I mean, all you're gonna do is follow my instructions here, but it'll pull out things. It'll start telling you stuff. You know, how long have you been on the appointment so far? How long have you been there?
10 minutes.
So 10 minutes?
10, 15.
Probably more, by the way. Go ahead and ask 15 questions to somebody, and if you can do it in 10 minutes. Now, I can ask the 15 questions in 15 seconds. But when you ask a seller a question and then just stop and let them talk, some of them will talk for a while.
Correct.
And you might get away with 10 minutes, very rarely, but it might happen. But probably 20, honestly, probably. But how long did you small talk smart for? That might have been 5 minutes. You might have even been there close to a half hour already, believe it or not. Don't worry about how long you've been there, gang. If it's gonna get to the listing, you know, you might be staying there longer than you would ever admit to. But if you know you're gonna get it, just stay till you get it, right?
Dinner.
You know, put on the coffee, I got more information to share with you, you might have been there 4 hours already. I mean, hey, if it's worth, you know what I mean? But 20 minutes, you've been there for sure. How long have you prepared for this whole thing? It took you probably a half hour to prepare for the whole thing. Half hour to drive over there, 20 minutes, you've got an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes invested in this already. Now it's time to preview the property. So you get the seller to participate. You know, if you want to get a couple of pictures with your smartphone, give them the phone and show them how you guys do pictures. Like when you take a picture of a room, do you take a picture of this room right here, just point at that corner and take a picture and say, here's what it looks like?
No.
Do you go like this maybe? Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
like that?
No,
You know? Yeah, you go as far back as you can.
well, I mean.
As far back as you can. It makes it look what?
Bigger.
Bigger. So you tell them, yeah, we'll just go way back there, you know, and then you're probably out of the picture, so you're hiding over here. But have some fun with it, get them to participate, okay? Even measurements, if you're gonna use a measurement company, maybe you might just still have them help you measure the outside of the house. Because you wanna know right now, don't you? You know, because you might broker load, still get the measurement company. Anyways, we'll talk about that, but get them to participate, okay? You should fill out information as you go. Now, we used to have input forms that we would buy that were carbon copy at the board, and we used to pay for them, you know, like 75 cents or something, or $1.20, I can't remember. And years ago, everything went online, but if you look at web forms, there's no input forms. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
You can talk to a home inspection company, some of them have input forms. Your call form has a little bit of an input form on the bottom half, or you can create your own, or I don't know if you know this, you can still get them at the board if you want. And you could just have a bunch of copies. They're not carbon copy anymore, they're just on a piece of paper. But it'll show you where to put the square footage, where to put how many bedrooms, bathrooms, you know, includes the fridge, stove, whatever. It's got it all there for you, you don't forget nothing. So I would recommend you do that, okay? And, you know, like I said, if you can get the seller, you haven't even got the listing yet. You're just previewing the property in step 2. And you have the seller participating, and he's actually helping you, or she, with measurements, and you're filling out an input form. Are we one step closer to getting a listing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, think about that. Half these people here up front, we're not listing today, and they don't do nothing. They don't carry nothing, don't take any notes, they don't even, nothing. And the thing is just by trying to do something, some of them change their mind as you go.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them at first, they don't know who you are. They're intimidated by you. You think you're nervous? They're way more nervous than you. I'm talking about the new people. You're nervous, I get it. But you should be less nervous because you know what to do because of this training, yes?
Yes.
And the veterans? Yeah, we're a little anxious sometimes when we go on appointments or when we do presentations. We get over it pretty quick though, right? But we don't want to be, even a veteran, you don't want to be the one to say, they're not listening today, so I'm not going to go over the forms. I don't have to do the measurements. No, take it one step at a time. You go one step here. They said no. You say, no problem, show me around. And you go and you're going through for, how long does it take to preview the property? If you're taking a few measurements, maybe you're not, but you're still inputting information into the input form or writing down info and you're asking them questions and they're telling you all this stuff about their house, what they did, there was a problem, they fixed it, all this stuff. How long does it take? It's going to be another 20 minutes or more,
Minutes, yeah.
isn't it?
Yes.
It's going to take a while. It's not going to happen in 2 minutes. And guess what happens in that 20 minutes or more?
You enter.
You interact with them, they start to as long as you're doing your job, they'll start liking you more. And so they said no here, and you said no problem. Let's go look at the house, and then another step, and then you're back at the table, and you're gonna ask for the order again in a different way, and they might say, yeah, I guess we will then. And the untrained agent would think, how did they say yes now and no 20 minutes ago? It's because of the steps. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so fill it out, the input form, do measurements if you can. Even if you hire a company, I still recommend that you just get them to participate and say, well, let's see how big your house is. Take your time, don't rush. This is the listing you're gonna get. Think about that. What do you need to rush for? Right? I mean, the exception could happen, something's happening at home and you gotta hurry up or whatever. Don't be that person that's always rushed. Don't be that person, okay? The next thing is, ask a lot of should I question as you're walking around the house. Should I include the fridge? Hopefully they'll say what?
Yes.
Yeah. And then what do?
Right.
Write it down. Should I include the dishwasher and the stove as well?
Yes.
Hopefully they say,
Yes.
and what do?
Write it down.
Write it down. Should I include that freezer over there in the corner? No, we're gonna take that with us. So what do?
Write it down.
Write it down. Okay, now hold on, before you start telling them what they gotta do and all this stuff, let's just gather information. We don't even have the listing yet. You guys with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Gals, you with me? We say way too much. We can sometimes be talking ourselves right into a listing, even though they said no. And then because we talk too much, we're talking ourselves right out of the listing again. We don't need to fall short because of that, do we? So, the freezer, you want us to include, or should I include that? No? Okay, no freezer. Okay, 57 Chevy in the garage? No? Husband, you want me to include that one in the chat?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that'll reduce the price though, right? The husband laughs, just kidding. See how we're having some fun while we're just, and should I include any of the artwork? I'm just kidding. Now, you guys, I'll tell you the ins and outs of including things other than probably the 5 or 6 main things, which is fridge, stove, washer, dryer, dishwasher, what other chattels would be included that's fairly common?
Window
Garage door,
Garage door,
right?
window covering.
Window coverings maybe, vacuum attachments for the central vac, and then things that usually are not, of course, the 57 Chevy usually isn't, and usually a lot of times the freezers are not. A lot of times, and then we got stuff that is attached, like a wall unit. If it's screwed to the wall and they want to take it, what do you have to do? You have to put right in, you have to write it down, but on your listing agreement, you have to include, it says including all these unattached goods, which is fridge, stove, washer, dryer, and excluding attached goods, wall unit, or ceiling fan, okay? Remember that, but you're writing it down for now. So ask a lot of should I questions, fair enough, gang?
Yes.
Point out the repairs with style, so you have your notes, and you're walking around, and all of a sudden you look up and there's a big stain on the ceiling. There's a big stain there, can you see it? Just imagine there's a stain there, it's 1.5 foot round, it's dark. Okay, everybody look up there, there's a stain there.
Yeah.
Here's what most realtors do. Oh wow, that doesn't look good at all. Probably you need to fix that and paint it. You really should. Because buyers will and they start going on and talking too much. I mean, everything you're saying is true. Wrong timing. You haven't got the listing yet. You don't say that. Can you all get over that right now?
Yes.
Yes.
So, but it's still there. So watch this. This is how you do it. Ready?
Ready.
Walking along. Everybody's watching? I mean, I'm overacting. But that's kind of what you do. You look at it and you look at the sellers like with a little bit of surprise. And more than likely they'll say something.
They will talk, yeah.
They'll say, oh yeah, there was the tub overflowed. And we checked everything and we sealed the tub area and everything's good now. But do you think we should paint that? And you would say 2 words. What do you think they are?
Yes.
Yes.
I would. That's 1 word, by the way.
I
2
would.
words is I would.
I
Okay, so do you think we should paint that? And you say,
I
would.
would.
I would. And they go, okay, and you just write it down. Then you come over to, and we're in Canada here in Calgary, it's minus whatever today. If there's a crack in the window, one of the windows, what builds up on the inside?
Ice.
Ice, because the temperature difference is 20 20 degrees Celsius or 70 in the house, and outside it's minus 20 something, and that ice builds up. So if you see that ice, I mean, I'd go over, and I'd be like, you know, I would probably overact a little bit. And then they'd say, yeah, that's been like that for quite some time. Oh, if they don't say nothing, I go, I'd write anything. I'd scribble something.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'd say, do you think we should fix that? And yeah, you probably should. It's a problem, isn't it?
I would.
It's an obvious repair. A squeak in the floor. Walking along, da-da-da-da, it's like, it doesn't say nothing. Play with it a little bit longer there. Write it down, go. If he says, do you think we should brace that? You would say,
I would.
I would. Simple. Don't say you gotta brace this, you gotta paint that, you gotta replace this. That's not the time. After you get the listing. I'll show you how to do a little consultation with them where you'll say, you gotta fix that. That stain, 10 grand to a buyer. But all it is a dry stain on a ceiling tile above a kitchen. I mean, the bathroom above the kitchen, and you know, it's nothing. But to a buyer, it's everything. Okay? So just remember that, okay, gang? Pointing out the repairs with what?
Eyes.
Yeah, I'm overacting a little bit, but I'd use Peter as a seller, but I'd be like, you look at it, and you just look at him, and you go, you know, and they go, yeah, do you think there's some whatever? And you go, yeah, I would, okay. And then, you know, and then they know you mentioned it, they mentioned it, but when they say it, they believe it's true, or they put action into it. When you say it, they either don't believe you, or you're annoying.
Yeah.
You came in, you haven't even got the listing, we've only been there 20 minutes, and you're already tearing apart the house to make it feel like it's worth nothing. You're not getting the listing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing is you need to evaluate the property logically from different points of view. So let me ask you folks, thanks for participating. Remember, my job is to educate you, entertain you, get you motivated, and have you participate in everything. So thank you for doing that. Makes my job a little easier. Because it's fun up here when everything's going right. It's really fun. How many different prices are on a property? Now the seller has a price, yes?
Yes.
And it's exactly the same as the buyer all the time, right?
Yes.
If it was, they wouldn't need us. So it's not the same.
No.
Seller thinks it's worth this much. The buyer usually thinks it's worth less because they want to save some money. And they just got to find a way to prove that. Unless it's a hot market, a buyer will pay more than even the seller wants with multiple offers. But who else has a price on the property that actually has maybe what they think it's worth? It's different than the seller or a buyer.
Appraiser?
An appraiser may have a different price.
The realtor.
One of the realtors, the buyer realtor or the seller realtor may have a price. We've already come up with, what, 5 prices? There's still a few other people that have a price on this.
Lender?
The what?
The lender?
The lender, and that's not the appraiser either, that's the bank. Now, I'd seen somebody who had a listing that was a little high, they didn't realize it because there was no comparables in the area. They took the price off the neighboring neighborhood, and so they were a little bit high, and they didn't think they were because the people bought it 5 years earlier for more than they were gonna list it at this time. Market had dropped, and this wasn't that long ago, by the way. And they got full price offer. They went to the bank, and the bank said, no, it's not worth that. Financing fell through. These people were pre-approved and everything. Even with the offer over list, the bank can still say what? No.
No.
Does the bank have to loan people money even if they have good credit?
No.
They do not have to. Can a bank pull their mortgage anytime they want?
Yes.
Anytime. Anytime, ever. Doesn't matter what's going on. Okay? So that's another price, right? Okay? Who else has a price on there? When they see the place, they go, I think it's worth this much. So you got the buyer, the seller's realtor, the buyer's realtor, the appraiser, the bank. Who else has a price? There's one that's more important than all of them.
Property inspector.
He shouldn't say that when he comes, but he might.
Well.
Yeah. But I know what you mean. There's one that's more important than all of them. Well, the city assessment is a good one too. That's not the one I was looking for, but that is another one. City assessment on GeoJet, I believe it's called.
Yes.
Okay, okay, come on, you can do it. There's one more that's more important than all of them. Give up?
Yes.
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 The buyer's dad.
Oh.
Has a totally different price on it. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, most
That's
of the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you how we work with the buyer and the buyer's dad in lesson 7, but just give you a heads up. If you're out showing properties and you ask somebody if we find you the right property, and we're talking about listings today, so just to jump ahead a bit, for doing buying, and you say, if we find you the right house, you're ready to buy, and they say, well, we're gonna look at ones, and then when we pick them, we have to show dad. And you better bring dad with you. Because dad, when he sees just one property, will tell him they have to look at more, or he'll say, he's a deal breaker.
Oh,
So as funny as it sounded, it really is not funny when it happens at all.
no.
If I may be a little serious on that matter. It's really important you get dad to come. Otherwise, just gonna be spending a ton of time trying to help out these people. Okay, let's see, is there anything else? No? Okay, so pretty straightforward, or do you understand what I mean by preview the property?
Yes.
Get the seller to participate, take your notes with you, you know, fill out information as you go, ask a lot of should-I questions, point out the repairs with style, don't tell them they have to fix nothing, just look at it, chip at it, move, squeak it, whatever. You know, door doesn't seem to work on something, dishwasher's not closing, and you might look at them, and they go, oh no, we have to do this, we have to go in, push up, sideways, push in, and you look at them and you go, let me write all that down. Push in, slide in, you know. But do you think we should get somebody to come in and just fix that thing?
I would.
I would.
Man, I tell you, isn't your job easy when you think about it? You just have to say, I would, instead of, well, you know what you should do, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and they're just sitting there like, you know? So I think what we'll do is, I'm sure our food will be here any second now, so I'm not gonna go into the next segment, so if you wanna pause that. Just want